Welcome back to Us Against Everything. My name is Liz. I am one of the co-hosts.
And I'm Landon, the other co-host.
If you're new here, welcome. Around here, we dive into true crime, the paranormal, mysteries, and stories that stay with us long after they're over. But today's episode, this one's a little different. We've actually never done anything like this. And it's probably going to be one of those harder episodes that we sit down to film. Every single one of these children, every single one of them could have ended differently if the adults who were supposed to take care of these children had simply done their job.
1,000,000%. This could have been avoided.
There is nothing that makes me angrier than hearing about a child who is failed by the very people they trusted the most, as we go through this ridiculous case with Lindsay Clancy. This trial is genuinely what made me come up with this episode. So as a parent, I cannot wrap my head around it. Children do not ask to be here. They don't choose the home they're born in. They don't have the ability to protect themselves. That's our job. So when the people who were supposed to love them become the reason they're gone, or ignore every warning sign until it's too late,
it's a little too late, a little too late.
I don't have sympathy for those decisions. I have real anger.
You know, honestly, this isn't just something from the past. We're watching another case unfold right now with Lindsay Clancy.
Oh God, yes. That's driving me nuts.
They are taking a very long time, but I feel like they're being very thorough.
Oh, that I'm glad for.
Yeah, they're definitely doing what they need to do, but her and her fakeness so far and these fake tears, I just don't believe. She is truly insane.
Oh yeah, she's very manipulative and it comes across. She's still manipulating people. I mean, she's a really good manipulator. People are falling for it.
And no matter where people stand on the legal arguments and no matter what experts want to testify to, at the end of the day, 3 innocent children lost their lives. Those children are the ones who should be at the center of the conversation. You know, sometimes it feels like we spend so much time debating the parent that we forget about the victims.
You've said it perfectly. And I know this may be an unpopular opinion, but as a mother, I struggle hearing the words not guilty involving children. I understand there are legal standards and I understand mental health becomes part of these conversations, but my heart always goes back to the kids. Like, these little lives are gone. They don't get another birthday. They don't get another Christmas. They don't get a chance to grow up. So while the courts have to determine legal responsibility, I'll always find myself asking, who's speaking for the kids? Because this episode is what that's all about. The children, the ones that deserve so much more.
And I just don't even also understand how, as a parent, you would even want to spend another birthday, Christmas, whatever, after you did something like that. What makes you think you deserve to spend your own birthday or even your children that you killed's birthdays, but they don't?
Oh, yeah. We're going to be coming back to this case here very soon on this podcast. But until then,
we're going to be diving into Caylee Anthony, Harmony Montgomery, Bella Watts, Celeste Watts, and even maybe baby Nico, all here today. This will be the first installment of this. There are many children that have also been unlawfully hurt by their parents that we will discuss and talk about as well in the future. Some of these cases and some still have the public frustrated. And one in particular, still millions have people believing justice was never truly served.
And I mean, that goes without saying when it comes to Caylee Anthony. I will be sharing some of my own spiritual experiences connected to these kids. You never have to agree with my spiritual beliefs, by the way, and that's completely okay. Like, my goal has never been to sensationalize these tragedies. It's more or less trying to remember these kids, to give them a voice, to remind people that behind every headline was a little boy or a little girl who deserved to grow up. So let's begin.
Even if you've never followed true crime, chances are you've heard the name Caylee Anthony. In the summer of 2008, 2-year-old Caylee Anthony disappeared from Orlando, Florida. The part that shocked the world wasn't just that she was missing, it was that she wasn't even reported missing for 31 days.
That is still mind-blowing. Like, I get it, okay? How do we go 31 days, though? Like, what the hell?
Today's episode of How Fucked Up is Fucked Up. That's fucked up.
Nobody even questioning it. During that month, investigators were told stories about a nanny who didn't exist, jobs that didn't exist, and explanations that simply didn't add up.
Again, how do we not have a guilty verdict in this?
Eventually, Caylee's remains were discovered less than a mile from the Anthony family home. The medical examiner ruled her death a homicide, but because of the condition of her remains, an exact cause of death could not be determined. In 2011, after one of the most watched trials in American history, Caylee Anthony was found not guilty of first-degree murder, aggravated child abuse, and aggravated manslaughter.
I was watching that day and I was shook. I couldn't believe it. I think the world was shook.
Everybody was shook. Everybody was fucking throwing things at their TVs, very angry. Now, she was convicted only of providing false information to law enforcement. It's a verdict that, to this day, continues to divide people.
I don't know if divide is even the word I'd use. Legally, Casey was acquitted. That's a fact. But if you ask people what they believe happened, I think the overwhelming majority still believes Caylee didn't accidentally disappear. They believe Caylee Anthony was responsible for it. And I know that's where I stand. And before anyone says, well, the courts found her not guilty, remember, not guilty does not always mean innocent. It means the prosecution did not prove guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. Those are two different things. For me, this case has never really been about Casey. It's always been about Caylee. And a little girl who should be 30-ish today, she should have had memories, friends, dreams, the same opportunities her terrible, awful mother had. Maybe even children of her own. Instead, the world remembers her because of what happened to her. That is unbelievably heartbreaking.
Absolutely. It was terrible. And like you said, just because that jury found her not guilty does not mean she's not guilty. It just means that they're dumb. Because
Right.
all the evidence pointed to that. And if you can go back and read the details of that case and make your own determination if you've never heard of it. Now, even now, nearly 2 decades later, this case still makes headlines. Caylee Anthony has continued making public appearances and media statements over the years, and every time she does, the conversation starts all over again. People continue asking the same questions. What really happened to Caylee?
Absolutely. And I don't think people ask that question because they're obsessed with Casey. I think they're asking because they just want justice for Caylee. They want answers, they want accountability, and they want to know that that little girl's life mattered because it did.
Absolutely it did. Like, how crazy for people to overshadow that, where they're just like, oh well. Like, what do you mean, oh well?
I think it was Rosie O'Donnell back in the day when that ridiculous documentary came out from her side of the story with the fake crocodile tears.
Yeah, nobody believed that.
Right. Well, Rosie O'Donnell did.
Well, good for her.
Bro, you deserve several cookies for that. Pat on the bet.
Anyway, I was like, Rosie girl, you ain't looking at that girl and seeing an evil person. You looking at her for the wrong reason.
Right. Clout. To be relevant again.
Are you kidding me?
Funny enough, though, years ago, we were in Newfoundland walking through a garage sale. Now, at this point in my life, I had just started to come in contact with Caylee. I think we had done the first episode connected to her. It was a really sad case, honestly. And I was having a hard time getting Caylee to kind of come to me on her own. And she was like shy. She would come to me and then run away, come to me and then run away. And so I came up with this idea, like, I gotta get her attention somehow. Spirit kids often come through like teddy bears and toys. So for Caylee, I was like, we're gonna find a doll. And in that moment is when we found this random garage sale. Now, we didn't know there was gonna be tons and tons of dolls and dolls only, but there were dolls everywhere. Boxes of them.
Hundreds of them.
I wasn't looking for one. When I came across this little doll, it was like a reborn doll, probably one of the older generations. If you haven't seen her, I will absolutely be making a TikTok video about it, so I'll show it to you there. But the moment I saw her, something stopped me. I couldn't fully explain it. It was like I knew she was coming home with me because Caylee wanted this doll to come with me. And I didn't put two and two together until I got home and took her out of the box. And I had seen the instant resemblance to Caylee. And that gave me chills. And I knew right then and there that was going to be the key tool in talking to her.
I got them keys. I got them keys.
It was so crazy that it also looked exactly like her too.
It did. It still does. And we still have her to this day, and we call her Caylee.
And now we're going to move on to the next portion. So just a reminder, this portion will reflect Liz's personal spiritual experiences and beliefs. And whether you believe in mediumship or not, we simply ask that you keep an open mind and remain respectful when we are going through these questions here and the connections between Liz and these children.
Absolutely. I get it. Some people do this kind of stuff for the wrong reasons, but that's not me.
Exactly. Our purpose isn't to sensationalize these cases. All right, now let's begin with question number 1.
Let's do it.
When you first connected with Caylee today, how does she present herself to you? What is the very first thing she wants you to notice?
Okay, so with Caylee, she has grown up a lot. And back in the day when I first initially spoke to her, like 5, 6 years ago, maybe a little longer, she was much younger. She was still at that same age. But now she kind of sprouted a little bit. She's sitting at like more of an age where she can understand a little bit more, like between 8 and 10. She still has the same type of hair. She has it all disheveled. She's like a kid that likes to play in the yard. She doesn't like to sit still from what I can see. And she is dirty from head to toe, just playing around. And I ain't mad at that.
Who was Caylee outside of the headlines? What was her personality really like?
She showed me back then and even now that she was a firecracker. Like, if she did not get her way, she was letting the whole world know, like a high-pitched scream energy. And she was sassy. But above and beyond all of that, she wanted to be an entertainer. She shows me dancing. She shows me singing. She shows me the television and following along. And she also shows her love for her grandparents a lot. Like, they were the consistent, unfortunately, parental figure in her life. So from what I can see, that is what she loved and paid attention to, and liked being in the kitchen with her grandma, comforted by that. She liked cooking. She loved munching on food, like when grandma was cooking, or making desserts together. She wanted in on that.
What does Caylee want people to know about her that the world may have never had the chance to see?
She was incredibly artistic. And although she didn't even get the opportunity to be part of like a dance crew or dancing in general, or even anything to do with like entertaining the world, that's, I think, the biggest piece of her personality that she wants to shine through. She was a happy kid. She was in a good space until her mom turned her life upside down.
When Caylee looks at her family today, what emotions come through the strongest?
That's tough. She shows me that ever since her mother killed her, she has become completely detached. So Casey has although doesn't necessarily acknowledge this. She disengages from the Casey who killed her daughter and just remains on the complete denial. Like, if Casey today were to have a conversation with me and I'm like, girl, be honest, like, she'd still be in denial because she does not remember it that way. It's hard because there's elements of her mother that she misses, but she also sees this evil creature and is scared of her mother too. Like, of all the people around her, her mother was her biggest abuser. Yes, everyone yells. Yes, everyone gets angry, but her mom took it to a scary level at times. She keeps showing me her mom would often cover her mouth with her hand and wouldn't let her breathe. It seemed to be something that was consistent for her.
That is awful. Does Caylee feel like justice has been served for her, or does she feel like there is still something left unfinished?
I mean, we didn't get any further than everyone saying that, oh, possibly the dad did it, but in reality, she didn't get justice. So no, Caylee doesn't feel like justice has been served. Caylee wants her mom to stop lying about her grandparents because she was jealous of Caylee a lot of the time, because before, Casey was their daughter. Casey was the one that got all the spoiled attention. Clearly, she couldn't handle having a child. And then when Caylee would get that attention, it stopped being about Casey. So she grew this jealousy towards her kid. And that's where this resentment towards her parents comes from, and has been like that for a long time.
Is there anything about this case that you believe the public still doesn't fully understand?
There's so many things that the public doesn't fully understand on this case, and that is what Casey genuinely did to her. And I have always been a true believer that Casey wanted to go out and have fun. Caylee was stopping her from doing that. She couldn't just drop her off at her parents' house because that's giving in to her parents. So she decided to take things in her own hands. Did she intentionally plan to kill her daughter? No, but she gave her drugs to make it happen, and unfortunately put duct tape on her face and didn't realize the outcome of her not being able to breathe.
I mean, who wouldn't though? Come on.
Right.
Common sense.
She thought that it wouldn't go down that way.
I don't believe that for a second. I don't believe that for a second.
Listen, that's what I see on my side of things vision-wise, is that she didn't intentionally try to kill her daughter. It was just a way to keep her shut up until she came back from partying.
Does Caylee ever try to leave signs for the people she loves? If so, what kind of signs do you feel she gives?
I think back then there was a lot of dime drops to her grandparents, specifically Casey. Again, in complete utter denial, doesn't even think about her daughter very often. It's a very triggersome topic for her, and not because of any other reason but the guilt part of it. She gets angry with public because people still think she did it, and thinks she can go around suing people for thinking she did it, even though we all know she did, including the justice system.
Right.
So when it comes to her grandfather, as time progressed, I think there was like a terrible accident that happened that he was in. And I remember watching that part of the documentary, and Caylee was like, I saved him. I saved my papa. You know, she loved him.
Uh-huh.
That is a big sign in stories. She keeps referencing story time. Big, big sign for her.
If Caylee could sit down with everyone watching this episode with us today, what would she want the world to remember about her?
She didn't have much time on this earth to really develop a sense of who she was yet. But I think what she wants people to really know, and it isn't even about her, it's about her grandparents. Although they didn't send Casey on a path of making right choices, their intentions were to be good parents. And they really wanted to be great grandparents. So for her, she doesn't want people to blame the grandparents. The grandfather especially, a very good man.
What message does Caylee have for children who may not feel safe or loved right now?
Oh man, that's a tough one too. Again, she was super helpless at that age, but anybody who needs help deserves help. And she says that if you ever feel unsafe or unhappy in your home, tell someone you trust, a teacher, a friend's parent, a doctor, a police officer, anybody that you feel safe telling it to. And not just a random person either. We don't need to tell random people anything, but tell somebody something.
And our final question for you with Caylee. After connecting with Caylee today, what is the biggest thing you're walking away with? What do you think she wanted people to hear more than anything else?
She was very protective of her grandparents. They often talk about seeing her again, on the other side. She keeps telling me something connected to her grandfather and maybe his health. And she does worry a lot about him, carries a lot of weight on his shoulders. And it's conflicting for him. He loves his daughter, but he knows that she's not his daughter. Like, that's not the person that grew up in his household. Like, something went wrong. And from what she shows me, he carries a lot of guilt on his shoulders for not being a better father.
Well, thank you very much, Caylee, for joining us today. Now we are going to be moving on to Harmony Montgomery. This one is the one that has many of you following alongside of us over the last few years. Harmony Montgomery was a little girl whose story is just as heartbreaking because for so long it felt like she slipped through every crack in the system. Harmony wasn't just failed by one person, she was actually failed by multiple adults and by a system that was supposed to keep her safe. And her disappearance wasn't reported for years.
So sad. Like, one of the more gruesome cases I connected to.
By the time authorities realized she was missing, the investigation became one of the biggest child abuse and homicide cases in New Hampshire's history. Her father, Adam Montgomery, was ultimately convicted in connection with her murder and other related crimes. While investigators believed they know what happened to Harmony, her remains have never been found. That means her family and everyone who has followed this case still doesn't have closure of bringing her home.
This case always hit different, not because of what happened to Harmony, of course, but because I actually talked about her several times over the years on TikTok. Many of you may remember one of the readings I did. I kept hearing Cookie Monster, and at the time I didn't know why it was so important, but later on Harmony's mother confirmed that Cookie Monster was one of her favorite things. That wasn't something I could have known beforehand. There were other parts of that reading that didn't turn out so well, that caused some hurt feelings. I had said that Harmony never truly felt like she belonged anywhere, and I completely understand why her mother would be upset hearing that. As a mother, those words are incredibly painful, but I also had to be honest with what I had received. And when I connected with Harmony, that feeling came through so strongly. And it wasn't because she didn't love her mom, because she absolutely did, but because Harmony's life was so full of instability. Like, she'd get somewhere and then she'd be like, oh, this is the place I'm going to be. And then she'd have to get up and go. And it happened over and over and over in such a young life of hers. She deserved consistency, deserved feeling safe, deserved people who put her first. And I want to be clear, I'm not saying Harmony's mother is responsible for Harmony's murder by any means, because she is not. She's just one of the people alongside of the story that dropped the ball. Adam was the one who committed the horrific crime.
You're a poopy head. Can we spell it out?
But I do believe there were more moments when adults in Harmony's life failed to protect her. And that's one of the reasons this case hurt so much. The one thing Harmony had consistently made me feel is that she loves her mother. I don't question that for a second. Children can love their parents deeply even when life is complicated. These two things can exist at the same time.
Absolutely, they can. And before we begin connecting with Harmony, I also want to mention that they continue to be efforts related to locating her remains and understanding every detail of what happened to her. Even with Adam Montgomery's convictions, many people still hope that one day Harmony can finally be brought home and laid to rest.
I hope so. Every child deserves to come home.
All right, let's get into the questions. When you first connected with Harmony today, how does she come through? What's the very first thing she wants you to notice?
Harmony hasn't changed much. She's still sitting at the same age. Her hair is a little bit blonder. She does not have the glasses on that she did. Her eyes are completely normal, so there's no lazy eye energy going on, and she's just smiles and toothy smiles.
Years ago, you talked about Cookie Monster and the feeling that Harmony never truly felt like she belonged anywhere. Does she bring either of those things up today?
When I talked to her today, it was more or less like out of fear of what's going to happen next, because right now there's some changes happening with Adam's charges, the case. They're doing something, but he's not going to be coming out of prison or anything. So I think that was her biggest fear, that he was going to get out and hurt other people. And I explained to her that that wasn't going to happen. So that was like the biggest fear she had. She's definitely a spirit that has a lot of trauma. I know that at least with Caylee, she had the love of her grandparents, so she understood love and had a lot of consistency in her life. But with Harmony, there was very little. So she's very triggered that something bad is always going to happen, or somebody's going to hurt her. She has that fear constantly. But yes, Cookie Monster is still heavily connected to her as well.
What does Harmony want the world to know about who she really is beyond the headlines?
She wanted to, this is so cute, but spelling bees, like she wanted to spell. She keeps showing me that one of her goals was to get up there and spell without any issues. She liked science too. She was very interested in how things worked and how things grew. Bugs, plants. She liked looking at stuff like that. Flowers.
You've said that Harmony loves her mom. Is there anything she wants to say to her mom today?
Her mom has changed her life so much, and I think it's because of everything Harmony had gone through. So she's proud of mom for all of that. She's turned her life around.
Hey, in case no one's told you lately, I'm proud of you.
Feels like she can help give the other kids, a better life. So she's happy about that. But she wants her mom to let go of her guilt. She's been carrying it for a very long time, and she just wants her to say, no more guilt, Mom.
Is there anyone involved in this case that still carries information that they haven't shared?
Absolutely. Stepmother, step psycho is what I'd like to call her. She did a plea deal, of course, stood on trial, and they gave her freedom, basically. And she was a hell of a lot more involved than we're positioning it. I don't see her as a victim. I see her as a participant. She was also heavily beating Harmony, and then she would say things to Adam to get him off of her back of being angry, her children with him. So she put Harmony in a line of fire quite a bit. And as a woman, I want to throw something at her.
Do you feel there are still important pieces of Harmony's story that investigators or the public haven't uncovered yet?
Yes, I believe that there are people connected to the stepmom, and maybe even a couple people connected to Adam's side of the story that we haven't fully heard from as well. But I feel like we will eventually hear those things later on.
Without giving anything away that could interfere with an investigation, do you feel Harmony wants to guide people toward anything that may eventually help bring some more answers?
That's tough because although Harmony is showing me that it would be very difficult for them to find her specifically, there are pieces of evidence within the possession of Adam's ex-wife or whoever. She has some things that could actually really screw her over, like a journal or something.
Yikes. Adam Montgomery has now been convicted and is expected to spend the rest of his life behind bars. Does Harmony have any feelings about where things stand with him today?
She screams, "Yay! Yay!" Like, she's happy. She keeps showing me this trampoline that he did some awful things to her. I wouldn't even be surprised if SA was involved, if I'm going to be completely honest. She peed her pants a lot from the abuse. She was told to hold her pee. She had to pee herself. He did some awful things to her. So yes, a lot of that happiness that he's behind bars for sure.
One of the hardest parts of this case is that Harmony still hasn't been brought home. Do you feel that one day her remains will finally be found?
The most disturbing part of this is that her body, it was carried around a lot of different places, right? I just kept feeling liquefied energy, and I feel like they put it in a place where animals took pieces of her away, and I just don't see any possibility of this body being found in any capacity. Maybe years and years and years and years and years down the road, they'll find maybe like a femur or something, but it'll be difficult to determine who that femur belonged to.
And now our last question. If Harmony could sit beside everyone listening to this episode today, what would she want the world to remember about her?
You know, she's such a selfless little girl. She doesn't even want anyone to remember anything about her. Just the kids. Don't forget about the kids. If you're thinking about having children, maybe adoption, looking at that option first. There are so many kids that are in need, and she wants good people, not people that are just money hungry pieces of crap, but good people, gay people. She wants people to try to save these kids, because there's a lot of kids in the world that are in very bad predicaments, and she's telling me that another story will be coming out very similarly to hers in the near future.
Thank you so much, Harmony, for joining us today.
Thank you.
We are now going to move on to the next case. And our final case today is going to be one that shocked the entire world. In August of 2018, Shanann Watts and her 3 children, Bella, Celeste, and unborn baby Nico, were reported missing from their home in Frederick, Colorado. Within days, the truth began to unfold. Chris Watts, Shanann's husband, and the children's father confessed to murdering his family. Bella and Celeste were found at the oil site where Chris had been working, and Shanann and baby Nico were found buried nearby.
Like, it makes me so sick. Like, how do you go to that length?
Chris Watts later pleaded guilty and is serving multiple life sentences without the possibility of parole. The only question with this case that is still remaining for many people is why?
Why does any psychopath do anything? This case has been part of my journey as a medium for years now. I've connected with Shanann so many times over the past 5 years, including her letter to Chris, which is still available on YouTube. In fact, she probably is one of the most outspoken spirits I've communicated with. Very, very intense, hella powerful woman energy. That Justin Timberlake, what goes around comes around. Anytime I hear that song anywhere, that's Shanann's message to me, like, girl, we need to make another video. But there's something I've always been very honest about. I've actually never directly spoken with Bella, Celeste, or Nico. I've often heard laughter, little voices, feel the presence around their mom, but every conversation has always gone through Shanann, and I completely understand why. If I was a mother who had gone through something so horrific, I don't know that I'd be eager to let some stranger speak to my kid either. But over time, the trust has genuinely slowly grown, and even now, whenever I feel the kids around me, Shanann is right there with them, watching over them, protecting them, which is exactly the way a mother should be.
Unlike some of these other mothers.
Right, trying to get off. One thing I want to say before we begin, unlike the other kids we've spoken about today, Bella, Celeste, and Nico never questioned whether their mom loved them. Their love still surrounds them. They know exactly how much they were loved. And I think that's something incredibly beautiful to hold on to in the middle of such an unimaginable tragedy.
There's also another part of this case that fascinated people for years, the Watts family home. Some people who have visited or lived nearby have claimed to experience strange feelings or unexplained activity that was connected to the house. Others believe it's simply a home forever attached to an unspeakable tragedy. And today, we would also like to ask about that.
Hell yeah, let's begin.
When you first connected today, who comes through first? Is it still Shanann, or do you immediately feel the children with her?
Ha, Shanann tried. But Cece came running out like from behind her mom, ready and eager. She is such an excitable child, still about the same age when she died. But she can eat whatever she wants now. There's no allergies in tow.
That's amazing. You've mentioned that Shanann has always been very protective of Bella, Celeste, and Nico. Has anything changed over the years, or is she still just as protective today?
She's definitely protective, but more or less kind of didn't communicate so much with Bella, Celeste, and Nico about dad stuff too much because the kids didn't really understand. Like, she kind of told the children, like, dad was sick, dad was sick, kind of like protecting them in a way. But as they've kind of explored on their own and seen things on their own, like visiting their father in jail, questions have come about. So although protective, she has started to share a lot more with them.
I think there's nothing wrong, even in the ghost world, with age-appropriate things.
Definitely not. Kids understand things way better over there. With these kids, I think she didn't want to break that image of their father because when it comes to children specifically, especially if they decide to stay at the younger ages, they tend to black out those images so they don't necessarily remember anything bad and just remember when daddy was good last.
What would Shanann want people to remember about Bella and Celeste that often gets overshadowed by the tragedy?
How incredibly smart they were, how they managed to maintain every good quality there was of their father and them, and it didn't matter who it was, even if the family was like enthralled in drama, like Shanann was always connected to her in-laws in a negative way, but the kids always managed to bring it back and make it more comfortable. So they had that light about them, and she loves that and wants everyone to really pay attention to that. Not that they don't, because people are very good about those girls.
You said before that you heard the girls laughing and playing. What do you feel they're like together now?
They're still very giggly, running around. Nico too. Nico comes in a little older. He's not infant age anymore. He's more of like running around toddler energy. So they all like to chase each other around, but they did and have spent quite a bit of time in that Watts home. Again, Shanann not really sharing the dark energy of it, so they would remember that as their last home,
For years, people have shared stories about the Watts house being haunted. From your perspective, do you believe the family is attached to that home, or has the tragedy simply left a lasting emotional imprint that people may be feeling?
The darkness from Chris definitely lingers in that home, and that's more so at nighttime. It's like a demonic energy festered from what he did. And that can happen. Demonic energy can come from people that commit heinous crimes. With that being said, though, the girls often go there, obviously with Shanann around, but they're running around. They run in those halls and they jump, and they're always running and jumping. So people hear laughter and jumping. It's those kids, and they go there all the time. And Shanann's like, I don't give a fuck. Deal with it.
Right, like you said, it was their last home.
Mm-hmm. They had fun, they play, and it brings them some comfort, so why not?
If someone walks into that house today and feels something, what do you believe that they're actually experiencing?
It depends on what time of day they go in. If they go in during the day, they're going to feel that brighter energy from the kids. If they go in at nighttime, they might have those images of the darkness that he had, and that entity that's latched into that energy is there too.
When Shanann looks at the amount of love and support she's received from people all over the world, what does she want everyone to know?
She's grateful that people have seen things that she didn't get the opportunity to say herself. She was blinded by this fool for a very long time, even just the lack in the marriage. We're not even talking about the psychopath side of things. She feels kind of moronic that she hung on to him so tightly, like as if he was anything fucking special, But she loves how much she is loved and supported. And anyone who hates her is probably, there's like 3 people, and that's Chris and his parents.
Facts. Do Bella and Celeste have a message for children watching or listening today?
They interact with kid spirits all the time. Like Harmony is one that they like to connect with. Caylee is another one they like to connect with. They will introduce themselves. My name is Bella. Nice to meet you. And she'll paint pictures, specifically Bella. Celeste will show you everything she has. But they like to interact with children a lot. Ghost kids. The kids out in the world, have fun. Have fun. Take risks. Jump down that slide. Get in the water. It's what the kids want kids to know.
What message does this entire family have for parents? If there was one lesson that they wish every mother or father could hear, what would that be?
Shanann specifically shows me she missed a lot of the warning signs, and not referencing again the relationship. She was so fixated on correcting this relationship, this marriage, so that her family could stay together and be happy, that she missed out on a lot of those signs. So she's telling me to tell the women of the world to stop fantasizing about relationships getting better, because they will not. When it gets to this point, men make a lot of crazy mistakes. Get out, stay out.
And our final question, I'd like to ask about someone we've never really even had a chance to talk about, baby Nico. Do you feel his presence with his sisters and his mom?
Yes, he is very, very shy. He does not communicate at all in the sense of like talking. He's more of like, show me a magic trick and then I'll like you kind of energy. You really have to coax this kid to communicate, but that's okay too. But he definitely hides behind his mom and definitely way shyer than his sisters.
What would Shanann want the world to know about her little boy? And is there anything Nico wants people to hear today?
This might break your heart, but he is probably more attached to Chris than anyone would like him to be. Like, I miss my dad. I want my dad. I want my dad. I want a daddy. I don't have a daddy. Like, he's missing that element of the parental side.
And he never even got to meet his father.
Right.
He wasn't even born.
Right. And they look identical. Him and Cece look identical to each other. He just has the darker hair like Shanann. He's the only one that has the dark hair.
Now, after connecting with all of these cases today, Caylee, Harmony, Bella, Celeste, and Nico, what is the biggest thing that stays with you? And what is one message you hope everyone listening takes away from this episode?
Although tragedy strikes and these kids die, always an angel there to try to take the pain from these kids, shield them from what's happening so that they are not there to see and feel and hear it all, and that they have peace on the other side.
Well, thank you all so much for joining us for another episode of Us Against Everything. If there's one thing that we hope you guys leave here with today, it is this. Remember the children. Remember their names. Harmony, Caylee, Bella, Celeste, and Nico. Remember their laughter, their lives, and don't let people responsible become more famous than the innocent children they stole from this world.
Exactly. You said it bang on. Thank you all so much for spending time with us today. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to follow the podcast, leave us a review, share it with somebody you know who will enjoy these conversations. It truly helps continue to help us do what we love. And before we go, we will finally be doing a dive into the Tupac case, just in time as we get closer to one of the biggest trials connected to his murder. We will be breaking down everything that happens over the years, the latest developments, some of the biggest unanswered questions. I'll also be sharing my own personal vision surrounding this case, and if you are following Tupac's story, you won't want to miss this one. As always,
it's us against everything.